Welcome to the Drawhunter. I'm your charming host, Kevin Cleary, and this is the Soccer Gambling Podcast, where we don't pick any winners or losers. We hunt for the result that pays better, the draw. Why do we like to bet the draw? Because draws happen. A lot. Hashtag draws happen. Almost 30% of all pro matches end in a draw. That's across all leagues and international competitions, around the world, every day. So we are looking for the fixtures with near-perfect possession splits and goal margins, making them prime candidates for a betting deadlock. These are the games where patience prevails and parity pays. Even if you want to bet winners, analyzing the matches through this perspective can be a very valuable tool as you're placing your money on games all around the world. So first up, let's dive into last episode's results. It was actually a good weekend for the draws we identified in our last episode. Bournemouth versus West Ham ended in a draw, and all the stats were really pointing to that one. Also, Cagliari versus Genoa, Fiorentina versus Juventus, and Sparta versus Fortuna were all draws that were winners for us. There were a couple of heartbreaking losses by late scores in games that broke ties and gave teams a win, and I am looking at you, Newcastle. Man City, that was a great game, fought till the bitter end, but and I thought it was going to be a draw, but that late score from Newcastle gave them the win. So congratulations to them, but grrr. There's a lot of midweek action due to the Champions League games around Europe restarting too, as well as the league action that we had this weekend. So let's dig into some more draw contenders right after this quick message from the SantaBarbaraMint.com. The SantaBarbaraMint.com offers a carefully curated collection of the finest limited edition and one-of-a-kind collectibles from the coolest franchises in entertainment. Any kind of TV, movie, video game, comic book, sci-fi, horror sort of thing that you're into, they have it in the vaults at the SantaBarbaraMint.com. Use code DRAWHUNTER at checkout for a one-time 20% off your entire purchase discount. SantaBarbaraMint.com. Use that code DRAWHUNTER, 20% off your entire purchase, not just one measly item or anything like that. They have a lot of great holiday gifts there. I like the Han Solo in carbonite metal ingot. It looks like him screaming as he's frozen into the carbonite, and it comes with its own display stand, which is very cool. If you're a Star Wars fan, you need to check that one out. It's very cool. SantaBarbaraMint.com. We appreciate their support, as always. Now let's get into the games and the picks. We are going to focus on the Champions League action in this episode on Tuesday and Wednesday. And first up in Tuesday's games in the Champions League, we've got Ajax versus Benfica. And this game is taking place in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Ajax is plus 300 to win. Benfica is minus 111. The draw is plus 260. On possession stats, ball possession, Ajax is average 48%, Benfica is 49%. Ajax has been conceding a few more goals than usual this year, but Benfica has been struggling to score on the road. And in their history between these two teams, who have played each other a few times over the years, 2 out of the last 5 head-to-head matches ended in draws. I think the mutual attacking struggles that each team has right now kind of points to our first stalemate that I think is probably one of our top picks for the week. Next up, we've got Bodo Glimt versus Juventus, and this game is taking place in Bodo, Norway. The odds, we've got Bodo at plus 200. Juve is the favorite at plus 115, even though they're on the road. The draw is plus 270. Juve's possession numbers are at about 51%. Bodo Glimt's numbers are at about 57.9%. Let's call it 58%. Bodo is very strong at home. And Juve has been struggling a little bit as far as scoring. But recently, both teams separately of the Champions League have been getting a lot of draws. Juve is 3 out of their last 4 games have been draws, including one that we predicted over the weekend. Bodo, 2 out of their last 4 games have been draws. So I think this is kind of one of those medium shots where you don't go crazy with the money on it, but it's worth a poke. Next up, we've got Dortmund versus Villarreal, and this game is taking place in Dortmund, Germany. The odds are Dortmund is the favorite here at minus 133. Villarreal is a plus 350 long shot, and the draw comes in actually more favorited than the Villarreal victory at plus 270. Forget the numbers in this game. This is about Villarreal on the road. They grind out draws all over Europe, although these two teams have actually, Villarreal is 51%, Dortmund is 55% as far as their ball possession goes, just in case you did want the numbers. But these two teams have only played once before. Villarreal won that game. This is one of those, I think, if you're looking at both teams to score, this is a good shot for that, and it's a good shot for us as I think a high chance draw this week in the Champions League. Next up, we've got some of the big headline action. We've got Chelsea versus Barcelona. This game is taking place at Stamford Bridge in London, England. Chelsea are plus 125, Barcelona are plus 180, and the draw is plus 280. Chelsea handles the ball and possesses it at about 56.8% right now. Barcelona, 65%. Chelsea are perfect at home, but Barca are resilient away. And listen to this about the last 10 games that these two teams have played between each other. 5 draws, 4 wins for Chelsea, 1 for Barca. The way that Barcelona's been playing this year, I think we're going to add another draw to that list of the 5 draws. But half of the games that these two teams have played over the last couple of years have ended in a draw. So I think that will happen again on Tuesday. Next up, we've got Napoli versus Karabakh. This game is taking place in Naples, Italy. Napoli is minus 345. Karabakh is plus 800. And the draw is plus 475. Napoli's been a little unstable this year. I think Karabakh has been at 44% ball possession. Napoli's at 55%. Napoli is at home, they're a favorite, but Karabakh is a bit resilient. I think Karabakh's discipline and Napoli's instability that I referred to a second ago could match up well to give us a result where each team goes home with a point. So there you go, that's on our list. Marseille versus Newcastle. Newcastle broke my heart over the weekend with that last minute draw at the 75-minute mark or something like that. That last minute goal, and where we had them at a draw, and the entire first half was a draw. This has come sometimes as we were talking about in our first episode. That first half draw bet is right there, and would have paid very well if I had thought to bet it over the weekend, but unfortunately it didn't, so I didn't, all of those things didn't happen. Marseille versus Newcastle. This game is taking place at Orange Velodrome in Marseille, France. Marseille is plus 175. Newcastle is plus 155, so the odds are really pretty even between the two of them for the most part. The draw is plus 225. Marseille possesses the ball in their games about 52%, and Newcastle is at 51%, so they're very even along those lines. So are their goals scored and goals allowed numbers. They're very equal. So this kind of looks like one of those classic 1-1 games. Marseille is desperate. Newcastle tends to be very cautious when they play on the road away in a game like this, tactically. So this is one of our high-level draw picks on Tuesday. Slava Praha versus Athletic Club. This one's taking place in Prague, Czechia. Slava is plus 210. Athletic Club is plus 138. The draw is plus 220. Even the bookmakers think this one has a better shot at ending even than they're willing to admit, usually. Ball possession is 50% versus 49%. Does it really matter which one is which when the numbers are that close? They both average 1 goal scored per game. You've got two struggling sides likely to split points is basically what I think when I look at the numbers of something like this. If it's 1-1, I think that would be a classic result. If they both rise to the achievement of scoring 2 goals, I think that might not be completely out of the realm. So that is it for Tuesday's Champions League action. However, we've got one game in the Scottish Premiership League that I think is worth talking about for a quick second, and that's Motherwell versus Hibernian. Motherwell is plus 165. Hibernian is plus 145. The draw is plus 240. Motherwell has been very inconsistent, but so has Hibernian. Both sides are averaging 1.5 goals scored and conceded in each game. I brought this one up with all the other Champions League action because of the history between these two teams. 6 out of the last 17 games, going way back between these two teams, have ended in a draw. And it's just one of those historical things where 1 out of every 3 games these guys play ends in a draw. And I think there's a likely chance, based on the type of teams that they each have this season, that this is one of those low-scoring, evenly matched, high-percentage draw plays. So, there you go. And now we'll move on to Wednesday's games in the Champions League. We've got Copenhagen versus Karat Almaty, and I'm sure people are going to be tuning into this podcast just to listen to me mispronounce locations around the world. But this one's taking place in Copenhagen, Denmark. Copenhagen is minus 263. Karat is plus 750. They're the long shot on the road here. Copenhagen is a much more experienced team. The draw is plus 375. Copenhagen is strong at home, but Karat is compact but knows what they're doing on the field this season. There's a reason they're contending in the Champions League. But if they overperform, something could happen here. So they have a very strong defensive posture. They're the kind of team that parks the bus and can drive their opponents crazy in that way. So even though Copenhagen usually will have an edge at home here, I think this is one of those long shots. I mean, at 375, this is worth a unit, So next up, we've got Arsenal versus Bayern. This is another hot action game that's happening in London over the midweek. At Emirates Stadium in London, England, we've got Arsenal is plus 110. Bayern is plus 230. The draw is plus 250. These are two elite teams. They're both high possession teams. Arsenal is 57.8%. Bayern is 53+%. They both are high scoring teams. Arsenal scores 2.1 goals per game. Bayern scores 2.3 goals per game. They're usually decisive meetings, but when you're in the group stage like this, things can be a little cagey, and only 2 out of the last 10 have ended in a draw between these two teams, but they both have a very balanced matchup, and this is one of those tactical caution draws where nobody wants to make a mistake, I think. And that's why it's on my list. So next up, we've got Atletico Madrid versus Inter. This one's being played in Madrid, Spain. Atletico Madrid is plus 125. Inter is plus 200. The draw is plus 250. Inter has a 59% possession rate. Atletico has a 52% possession rate. Atletico averages 1.2 goals scored per game. Inter's 1.4. They both concede less than a goal. These two teams have never had a draw before when they've played each other. However, both of these sides grind out draws all over Europe during Champions League and Europa League contentions. I think this could be a historical event when this is the first time these two teams have a draw. So there you go. I'm on the record. I think that could be a classic 0-0 or 1-1 ending between those two teams. Next up, we've got Eintracht Frankfurt versus Atalanta, and this one's taking place in Frankfurt, Germany, and Eintracht is plus 160. Atalanta is plus 155, so those numbers are pretty even. The draw is plus 240. These are two of the mid-tier teams where they're good at attacking, but they're a little bit inconsistent. So we've got Eintracht Frankfurt has a ball possession rate of 50%. Atalanta has 52%. They both know how to score, but they also both know how to concede and leak goals. And this is another one where no draws yet between these two teams in their entire history of playing each other. And I think this week history is going to be made a couple of times by several teams having draws that had never played each other, and this is another one of those. So next up, we've got Olympiacos versus Real Madrid. This one's taking place in Greece. The Olympiacos are plus 600. Real Madrid is minus 278 because they're Real Madrid, and they always win this league every year anyway. Draw is plus 450. The Greeks are tough at home. That's basically what it comes down to in this one. Madrid is an elite squad, but the Olympiacos, they concede less than one goal per game at home. And they've actually had one out of the last four games between these two teams has ended in a draw. I think this is one where the Olympiacos park the bus. Their fortress effect could, bring us to a 0-0, 1-1 result. So next up, another one of the top tier games happening this week. PSG versus Tottenham Hotspurs. Go Spurs. My team, even though I've got them on the list for a potential draw in this game. Paris, France is the location of this game, so the Spurs are on the road across the channel. And PSG is minus 227 in this game. Tottenham is plus 650. The boys in the desert think they don't stand a chance. The draw is plus 333. They don't even think they're going to stand up to a draw. I think they have that. I think they have that potential. PSG has a star power lineup this year. The Spurs are a pragmatic team on the pitch, though. The PSG holds the ball 65% of the time. The Spurs are at 50%. The Spurs, though, often grind out draws versus elite teams, even on the road. And the Spurs' compact shape versus PSG's attack force, I think, could balance out. Regulation ended in a draw the last time these two teams played, and that game went to penalty kicks. So I think that could happen again, even though it looks like nobody in Las Vegas agrees with me on that one. So next up, we've got Sporting versus Club Brugge. This one's taking place in Lisbon, Portugal. Sporting is minus 149. Bruges is plus 375. The draw is plus 280. And this is another one of those. Sporting is possession heavy, but Bruges is counterattack oriented. They both average 1.5 goals per game, and the fact that their playing styles clash on the pitch, the way they use space and attacking formations, I think could actually neutralize each other's play on this week. So we'll see what happens. So that's the rundown for Wednesday's Champions League action, and we've got one little game over in Brazil that we want to talk about on Wednesday, where we've got RB Bragantino versus Fortaleza, and this one, they're both two mid-table teams. Bragantino has a 52% possession record. Fortaleza's 50%. They both average 1.3 goals scored per game, and I think this is a high chance for a draw if you can get some good prices on it, which were not available when I started drawing up the candidates for this week. But so let's go do a little roundup of the best draw candidates for Tuesday. We think are Dortmund versus Villarreal, Marseille versus Newcastle, Slavia Praha versus Athletic Club, Motherwell versus Hibernian, and Ajax versus Benfica. On Wednesday, out of the list of games that we talked about, I think the top 5 candidates are Atletico Madrid versus Inter. It's going to be a defensive duel. I think we're going to see prime numbers like 0-0-1-1 for each team. PSG versus Tottenham. I think the Spurs' pragmatism versus PSG's possession rate are going to balance out. The Bragantino versus Fortaleza game that I just mentioned. The Olympiacos versus Real Madrid. I think that one's definitely worth a bet. The Fortress effect could hold Madrid off and take home a point. And then Arsenal versus Bayern. I think it's an elite clash with mutual respect from two teams where a tactical stalemate is entirely possible there. That was a lot of games, and we're actually going to be dropping an extra special episode this week, probably Tuesday night, just to cover the Europa League actions on Thursday. So that's it for this episode of the Drawhunter, folks. I'm your charming host, Kevin Cleary. Thank you for listening. New episodes usually drop twice a week. Mondays for the midweek action, like we just reviewed. Thursdays for the weekend slate. Special thanks to the fine folks at sofascore.com. They don't sponsor us, but they're just my favorite place for sports statistics and results, and I use them when I compile the games that we're going to talk about here. You can subscribe to us at Apple Podcasts, please do, or Spotify, or Amazon, or iHeartRadio, or wherever the heck you get your podcasts. If you have any questions, comments, or pics of your own to share, email us at drawhunterpodcast@gmail.com. From the entire Drawhunter team, thank you for listening, and remember, there's no stopping it. Draws happen. Gambling involves risk. Please gamble responsibly. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. No guarantees are made regarding results or financial gain. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. You must be of legal age to participate in gambling activities. Check your local laws and regulations before placing any bets. This podcast was made by humans.